We are here with Chad Knaus. Crew chief for the number 24 car in the NASCAR Cup Series, and of course, 7-time championship winning crew chief. Chad, thanks for joining today.
Absolutely, it's good to be here.
So it looks like you're in the shop. How long have you been in the shop working under COVID?
Oh gosh, I guess about 3 months now. Probably we've been back. Pretty much full staffed. Obviously still taking all the safety precautions we possibly can with temperature screenings and making sure everybody when they come in they're feeling reasonably well and all of that. But yeah, for a couple months now.
Congrats on the promotion. That's a big deal. News that came out a few weeks ago. What does that promotion entail for you?
Buddy, I'm opening up doors every day and seeing what's in behind. I'm kind of like opening up to see what's behind Oz's curtain, right? So it's going to be interesting to see this new venture for me. It's going to be helping all 4 of the race teams that we've got here at Hendrick Motorsports and the crew chiefs, and trying to get those guys what it is that they need, because ultimately that's what we need is the performance on the racetrack. It's going to be helping work with the implementation of the Gen 7 car. Obviously that's coming in a year and not even a year and a half now, so we'll be on track here before you know it. We've got what's some of the other stuff, pit crew stuff, production, manufacturing, engineering, man, a lot of it. How's that? A lot more than what I thought initially.
Yeah, it seems like you got your hands full there. But so obviously you're not going to be leaving the sport and the competition side, but leaving the pit box is a pretty big career move for you. Have you begun to process what that's going to be like, leaving that pit box and possibly some of the memories that you've made along the way up top there?
Yeah, I've thought about it a lot. It's going to be tough. It really is. I know when they dropped the green flag for those races in Daytona, and I'm not calling the shots, it's going to be a pit in my stomach for sure. I've been doing this a long time. Do I still enjoy being a crew chief? 100%. It's in my blood and my life, but I feel that I need to start to transition away, and to get some new talent and get some people opportunities here at Hendrick Motorsports. I feel that the company as a whole has a position that needs to be filled, and I was honored that Mr. Hendrick and Jeff Gordon asked me to step up and take this opportunity and relieve Jeff Andrews of some of his burden. Jeff Andrews did a phenomenal job over the course of the last handful of years, taking on a bunch of new responsibility that, quite honestly, one man shouldn't have to do all of that. So him being elevated into a higher level and myself falling in and filling in his roles is going to be a good thing for me. I love working with people and managing folks and raising them up to their potential, and hopefully I can continue to do that.
Well, you definitely have worked with some great people over the years, and one of those drivers being Jimmie Johnson. Both of you guys are leaving the track after this season. What was your first impression of Jimmie Johnson way back almost 20 years ago?
Well, I don't remember that far back, but I can tell you I knew pretty straight away that he was one of the most genuine and passionate guys about motorsports that I'd ever met. And, his demeanor, his willingness and want to go out there and do whatever he could to compete at a high level was evident from the beginning. And I think that's why we clicked, because I had the same desires. I wanted to perform at a very high level. We didn't want to, not take full advantage of the opportunity that Mr. Hendrick had given us at that point. So it was pretty awesome to be paired with Jimmy early on, and we had a ton of success, obviously.
You guys won 7 championships, obviously tied for most of all time, and in every single different format. I want to talk about championship number 7, which was an extremely dramatic ending and seemed like race weekend for you guys. How difficult was it to not only win championship 7, but under this format that we're currently racing in today?
It was definitely a challenge. Honestly, it's an amazing feat to get to the Final Four, much less win the championship. So to be able to get ourselves in position to do that early on by winning the race in Martinsville was just spectacular. We worked really hard on that race car that week. I remember it very, very well. And we had a very competitive race car. Now, nonetheless, we couldn't quite break free and get to the front. We ran about 5th the majority of the race, but when opportunity showed up, Jimmy really had to perform. We were in a position to go out there. I think we were racing with the 42 car, and he had to really dig deep to do what it is that we need to do to win the championship. And Jimmy did an amazing job. You know, we called him Superman for a long time for a reason, and he pulled out his cape and definitely let it go for those last few restarts.
Well, you guys expect to win every single weekend, win championships. How do you manage both expectations on you and then expectations you have for your team?
Well, that's a good question, actually. My expectations are much higher, but I've also had to pivot them a little bit for now, you know, into the situation that we are with our driver and our team and where we were with our car. And as a coach, you have to realize what reality is, and maybe temper that from time to time from what the desire is. And early on with William, obviously an amazing talent, knew exactly what we had, but we had to kind of get out there and learn and see what he was capable of, what he knew, what he didn't know, what his hot buttons were, tracks that he was competitive at, and kind of identify with that. And you can't expect to go out there and win every race when you're trying to figure that out, especially with a new and growing team that we had around him. Coming into this year, quite honestly, our expectations were higher and our desires were higher. But COVID hits, and you know, we didn't get the track time that we felt like that we needed to, or nobody did, honestly. But we were coming out with a new Chevrolet Camaro. We needed to get some track time to understand where we needed to be, and I think that unfortunately we finally gotten there. It's just been late in the season, later in the season than what we wanted it to.
Well, with William Byron, as you mentioned, taking on him as a young man, I know you like to call him a young man, not a kid, but how big was that to finally get that win at Daytona, to be able to check that box off and get a checkered flag with William?
Yeah, it was really, honestly, like I had mentioned, you know, I knew that this change was coming for my position before any of you folks did. So it was actually starting to weigh on me a little bit. I'm like, man, am I ever going to get an opportunity to go to victory lane again? And to be able to pull that off in Daytona was just spectacular. I couldn't be prouder of William, the whole team. Obviously, I've wanted to be crew chief on this 24 car for a long, long time. And I definitely wanted to get it into victory lane. So to be able to do that, it definitely took a big burden off my shoulders. But again, the desire is still to go out there and win every race. And we've got a handful left, and I think we've got an opportunity to go do that. And it would be really cool to get another checkered flag.
You mentioned as one of your roles for next year is to be starting to develop that Gen 7 car. And I know NASCAR's teased little things with videos and had drivers explain. How much do you know about that car, and like, what can we expect for that Gen 7 car when it hits the track?
Well, it's different for sure. It's conceptually a very, very unique race car, from a far departure from where we're at. How's that? We'll put it that way. It's, you know, the suspension is different, the drive line is different, the wheels and tires are different, the rack and pinion steering is different, the body is unique. So it's a completely different race car than what we've got right now. Aerodynamically, the car is very unique and a far departure from the current models. It's got a full under tray, so it's different. It would probably liken itself more to you know, almost a type of an IMSA style car. So it's really unique from that standpoint from where we are right now, but it's going to be a lot of fun to race and a lot of fun to get to know.
One of the new cars for next season is going to be a dirt car at Bristol. What kind of, like, because in the Cup Series, they've never really made dirt cars before. So, like, what kind of development is going to go into making a Cup dirt car?
Man, your guess is as good as mine. We haven't gotten there yet. So
Yeah.
obviously we've known this has been coming for a little bit, and we've thrown some things around and talked about it. The thing that's unique about where we are as an industry right now is our chassis and our components are already kind of predetermined by us. We've submitted those to NASCAR. They've been submitted for race, and we can race only those limited components, right, that each manufacturer wants to use. So it's not like we can make a completely new and unique race car. We can make some subtle changes, but not a far departure from where you're at. So the car that you see racing in Martinsville or Phoenix or Bristol is probably not too different than what you're going to see in Bristol in the dirt.
Wow, that's fascinating. Well, I'm very curious to see what that guess ends up being when it hits the track next year. Last question for you. I know every driver, like when they step off the traveling schedule, there's going to be like, oh yeah, there's one thing I'm not going to miss, whether it be practices or rain delays. Is there one thing, like, when you jump off the NASCAR schedule, you're like, I'm not going to miss that?
Uh, no, I love. I'm trying to think of No, man, I love every moment of it. I've loved my job from the moment that I got the opportunity to be a crew chief in Cup. And sometimes they're easier than others. Some tasks are more difficult than others. Some things are painful, like personnel changes, or maybe getting that unfortunate call from NASCAR that you're going to be in trouble for something, or whatever, or late nights and waking up early. All of it can be difficult, but I can honestly tell you that my time being a crew chief in this industry, I wouldn't want to replace it for anything.
Well, that's cool. Well, the grind is absolutely paid off for you. Best of luck to you as you finish off this 2020 season, and then, of course, next year and what's to come. Chad, I appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, man. Have a great day.